go ahead and get started. Today, we have a special presentation. Bill Heiss. When we ran our first cohorts of the Inclusive Excellence Training, Bill was a part of that training. And one of the things that we did, we incentivized the participants and challenged the participants to do something in their area. And we would partially, depending on how much they were trying to spend, we would provide them funding to be able to try to make a difference in the departments, college, academic, or even non-academic areas. And during that time, we had several people to participate. And we had an event here on campus, actually over in the Millennium Center one evening. And Bill and I had a conversation about, the work that he was doing. I said, how would you like to present doing a lunch and learn? And of course, I'm not sure if he thought I was going to follow up with him, but he said, sure, that night.
I thought there was going to be a lunch involved, is why I said yes.
Yeah, it is for us.
I didn't know it was bring your own lunch.
While you speak, we will be enjoying lunch.
While I'm talking, you guys can enjoy lunch.
That's right. So we will respect you by turning off our videos while we do that. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to Bill Heiss, faculty member in the College of Business and Technology, arguably probably the best college on the campus, right?
Well, I'm not going to argue with you.
All right, go for it, Bill.
Okay, well, thank you. And I've got a few slides to share, but just wanted to give a little context. So I'm Bill Heiss. I spent 28 years in corporate America. I worked for Eastman for 28 years and decided in 2017, I wanted to spend what I'm calling the fourth quarter of my career teaching at the university. So it's kind of interesting. I'm a chemical engineer by training, but I teach in the business school in the management and marketing department. So it's kind of typical of my career. I'm an extrovert, and usually extroverts and engineers don't go together. So I've never really fit in no matter where I was. So I'm quite comfortable being an engineer in the business school. But one of the things after going through the workshop that Dr. Johnson just talked about was, is there a problem, or maybe better phrase, is there an opportunity that we can address? And I was looking at within our college, but really it's probably an opportunity within the whole university. And the problem that I encountered when I first came to our department in management marketing was the whole onboarding of graduate assistants who were international students. So the process was a new student coming in would get an email saying, here's the professor or professors you'll be working with. And that was it. Okay. So the professors got an email saying, here's your GA. And there was a lot of frustration on both sides. Communication was a problem. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I felt like that was an opportunity that we could spend some time in. And so what my presentation is what we learned and some recommendations. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Any questions on that and what I was trying to do? We okay? Can y'all stop eating for a second and ask me a question? So that I'm gonna, hearing none, which is typical for my classes on Zoom, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So I'm gonna assume you all can see this. Why did they do this? Okay. Can one person at least nod their head that yes, you can see? Okay. Okay, so this was the project that I'm going to say I might have been the facilitator of. There was a lot of other people involved in this project, so and I got those listed here in the future. but we called this our kind of cultural pedagogy project. So what was the goal? Again, to identify key areas for improvement. And we're really targeting the international community here, international GA. Does this only apply to the international GAs and TSs in our college? No. We also found out that every department does it differently for their GAs. There wasn't really a standard process, if you will. But we decided to set up a survey and talk to the existing GAs that were international students, and they were surveyed anonymously. What does that mean? Well, I got my GA. I didn't want a faculty member to talk to the GAs. I thought they would give more open ideas and thoughts if it was kind of a peer. So I got my GA to administer a small survey, and we're going to go through kind of the questions and the results of the survey, or at least the high level. I'm not going to go through every single question, but the hope would be we would get honest feedback. Obviously, we also interviewed some other folks, including Dr. Karen Tarnoff, who's very heavily engaged with our international students in our college. Co-contributors, I would guess you would say, Dr. Uden, Mr. Jim Harlan, and Dr. Brian Bennett, because they were all involved in the main departments of our college. Talked to Miss Brittany Brooks, who was in our International Student Success Center, and then my GA was Miss Sarah Toscano. Okay, so over a period of about 2 months, maybe 3 months, we did this interviewing, and the goal was going to be at the end to have a focus group to really discuss our recommendations. But due to COVID issues, we just decided we couldn't get all those folks together in one room. But I do think we got some good results from this. So hearing no questions, here's an example of some of the questions. Like, so did you have a list of ETSU resources available to you, such as tutoring, career services, even things like food pantry when you arrived? And, roughly half said yes, half said no. Okay. By the way, we had about 12 students that we surveyed. Okay. Your hope would be this would be a lot higher number, right? So one of the things as part of our onboarding process would be to include the resources that are available to them. Now, I know there's already some orientation that the International Student Office does, but to me, this indicates maybe it's not as effective as it needs to be. So the next question is, did you know what to expect as a GA when you arrived? In other words, what's your job? A GA is 20 hours a week, a TS is 8 hours a week. Do you know what is it going to be expected of you? And again, similar numbers, roughly half said yes, half said no. So getting the expectations up front, perhaps even providing to them the expectations before they even arrive on campus was a suggestion. So looking at recommendations, this is asking students, what recommendations would you make so we can better prepare future GAs? And some interesting ideas here that I didn't anticipate. One was understand project management. And I think a better terminology for that might have been time management. How to manage a 20-hour-a-week work schedule along with the classes you're taking and other activities that you have going on. That was one that came up. Communication. Whenever you talk to students, you're always going to get increased payment, right? Actually, whenever you talk to faculty, you'll probably get that same answer. But better resources is one. We already talked a little bit about resources, understanding what resources are available. The big the big one was clear job description. Okay, so I think that that's an opportunity that should be an easy one to address is what exactly is your job as a GA or a TS? And what we found is you can kind of categorize, at least in our college, you can categorize the GA TS positions as either being administrative, you're like sitting in an office, maybe making appointments, like if you're in the advisor's office or whatever, but there's administrative ones that have strict office hours. There's more what I would call the traditional GA TS role where you're assisting a professor in proctoring exams or grading papers, grading kind of the traditional professor support. And then there's a third bucket that a lot of people don't appreciate, but I call it more project-based GA-TS assignments, where you're actually having a GA help on a certain project. Maybe it's a funded research project, but maybe it's not. And these are some of the projects or some of the activities I have my GA helping me with. For example, working on this project to interview students and put these slides together. So there's really three, and what we see from our college is, and I'm probably similar across the university, is you can kind of lump the GA jobs into three different buckets. Okay. This was an interesting question. Knowing what being a GA entails now, would you continue to be a GA? In other words, if you knew then what you know now, would you do it again? And the encouraging thing is we had 100% people say yes. So that means there's a desire there to be engaged, to be a good GA-TS. So I was encouraged by that. Rarely do you get, as you can imagine, when you're talking to people, that you get something that's 100%. So I'm going to move now to the recommendations that our team came up with. And this is probably the one that I see as the most significant one, is to establish a mentorship program. So what that means is, if in our college, most of the graduate programs are 2 years or 4 semesters. You take someone who is a GA-TS in year 1, and in year 2, they become a mentor for 1 or more new GAs that can help guide them, ask them questions. They're not in their management, so to speak, line of management, so they can, be honest with them. Perhaps show them around the campus, assist them with the resources that they need, answer questions. If they're having a problem communicating with a certain professor, what are some ideas that have worked in the past? So sharing best practices. And even going to the point where saying, if you're a mentor, part of your job, part of your 20 hours a week, say it's 4 or 5 hours a week, is to be spent doing this mentoring. So be intentional about it and actually put your money where your mouth is. So this is probably the one that main recommendation I feel like it's been will be the most impactful going forward. We recognize some of the frustration of the GA-TSs is not just with themselves, but it's also with the faculty. So faculty need to understand what the expectations are and to communicate their expectations, set up some kind of communication standard or schedule, regular time to communicate with their GAs and TSs. Give examples of what are the tasks that are going to be expected. You're going to be, grading these kind of papers and 5 times during a semester or something like that. Be more thoughtful of what you're asking a GA-TS to be. The other thing that we got a little feedback on was there are times when maybe 20 hours a week is going to be tough because I got 3 tests this week. So maybe one week you say, I understand you got a busy week. We can hold this off until next week. That's all about communication and setting the right expectations. So that's about prioritizing. and helping them manage their time. So that gets into that whole what they call project management. I'm going to call it time management, to help them. So both parties, the faculty and the GATS, know what the expectations are. And I believe this is our final recommendation, is to have and I'm calling it an additional maybe fall orientation. I believe they already have orientations at the university level, but then this is that next level down. Here's what's expected in our college. Maybe even have a time, invite faculty that are going to have a GATS. They can meet the faculty for the first time versus just doing it via email. Okay. It allows the fellow GAs and TSs to meet each other. When I reviewed this with the dean and the department chairs, their recommendation is don't just do this for the international students. Let's do this for all the GATS students. So that's why the title says all. This has gotten a little bit bigger than just the original scope for limiting this just to international students. And then perhaps part of that orientation would be to establish the expectations and provide some of the resources of where they need to go for help. So I believe that's the end of my presentation. Usually the first question I get is, well, did you implement this? And the answer for this past year was no. A lot of the international students starting in our college were not able to come due to visa issues or whatever because of COVID. So we're hoping to launch this coming fall when we have more international students coming in to our programs. So I'll open it up to any questions. If you guys can stop eating for a second, and happy to give you any more thoughts I have based on your questions.
What did you find the most challenging with this approach to reaching students and faculty to try to create a better, more adhesive environment where people feel more inclusive and engaging?
So, to be honest with you, I got tired of hearing faculty complain about their GAs and TSs and they weren't doing anything about it. And so the most frustrating thing to me was getting the faculty to set what their expectations were. They wanted to complain about it, but they didn't want to set any. What are your expectations? What do you need your GATS to do? How often do you communicate with? Do you reach out and communicate? Well, they need to come talk to me. I'm like, hey, communication's a two-way street. So it's a good question. To be honest with you, I feel like the faculty, getting them to have appropriate expectations. That what I found is the GATS students, they want to do a good job. They're getting their tuition paid for. But if the faculty doesn't tell them what to do, then they're kind of lost.
Right. So have you thought about sharing this across campus?
I did share it with Chastity, and she was wanting to take some of this information and put it in her orientation. I think that she does. I don't know if she has done that yet. I should follow up with her and talk to her about that.
Well, she's part of this lunch and learn today.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
I think she's not here right now.
Oh,
she was here earlier, but
okay.
I appreciate that the dean said include all. Our office works a lot with international students, and there's so many things that they don't know, and having people that are more accustomed to the policies, procedures that have gone on this campus. I think that helps build that relationship, and then it will help that international student be willing to ask the questions. I liked how you asked the GA to administer it, because I truly think, you got to build trust. So, and they're more, I'm more likely to build trust with someone at my own level and communicate than I would with you. It's taken me a while to, feel safe and, to be able to speak at something like this. So, just being in their shoes, I can only imagine what it must be like. They're in a foreign place, without all their, so, including everyone, I think is a wonderful idea. That's my 2 cents.
Well, and I'm hopeful that that's going to take place this fall. Everyone, I presented this to all the department chairs and to the dean's office. No one was arguing with me about this, right? Yes, it all makes sense. We should do this. Okay, now we need to do it. That's kind of where we're at.
I heard you say that you hadn't been able to implement it because of COVID. I did not hear you say, what is the future plan? Are you planning to implement it for this fall?
Yes. Yes, that is the plan.
Fabulous. And you're right. I hear it across the university too, those same conversations that you mentioned that you were hearing. So thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, and I'm almost at the point where if a faculty member doesn't want to abide by this, they don't get a GA. It's like this should be a common expectation for you to have a good relationship and good communication with your G. I mean, the GA and TS is there to help you. Why aren't you? I don't understand. So yeah, I'm hopeful this may change the culture maybe a little bit. I've had a few GAs approach me, in fact, in the last week saying, hey, what's the process to get a different GA assignment next year? Because X, Y, and Z, I'm not happy or I'm not getting communicated with. So kind of went through some, I didn't show them the slides, but I kind of walked through, here are the issues we're facing. And if you can help me implement a culture change, here's just some things you can do. Would you like to be a mentor next year? Those are the kind. I don't want anyone to be a mentor that doesn't want to be a mentor, right? That defeats the whole purpose. So starting to get the list of mentors right now is something I think we can do this semester to be ready for them to be available for next year.
You probably need to maybe even work with a graduate school, and I don't know, Queen Brown or someone over there, make sure that they're on board with all this process too. Because if they're supporting it and you can get deans to support it, buy-in, you're going to have a lot more, positive results.
Yeah.
One of the things that we typically, not things, but a population of people that we typically leave out, especially for things that are significant, is our faculty. When we think about recruitment, retention issues, or concerns we have on campus, we have a tendency to build programs and offices around students. But faculty, we typically don't engage. I mean, faculty spend more time with students than anybody else on this campus. They spend 4 to 8 hours a week with students. And so this is excellent. I would think that, something like an orientation. If you want a graduate assistant, you got to go through this orientation. It's brief. It could be online. It could be something. I don't know what's the most effective approach to do it, but I think this would be excellent because, especially when these international students come, there's so many cultural barriers and differences, and they have a lot of anxiety. They're not really sure what to expect, but then we assume that they know what to expect and they know what they need to be doing. And we assume they should just start doing it, and they don't know. And they wait on us for, guidance. And unfortunately, even in my own department, unfortunately, they don't get it. And so when you learn, when they become very familiar, it's like they have to kind of struggle their way through until they get to a point where they can get service, and really know what to do. But yeah, I can see some form of orientation growing out of this to say, if you want to be if you want to advise these students, or if you want a graduate assistant, you got to go through this process so we can make the experience rewarding for everybody, for all parties.
Yes. There's a lot of potential here that I think we're just not tapping into.
Right, right. I think it can, I mean, it can, the potential, as you said, the potential is definitely not tapped at this point. And I think not only does it apply to international students, it can apply to a lot of different things, you know, whether it's search committees that we have for prepping people, you know, when you have international candidates, et cetera. I mean, it goes a long way. I know Sherry's going to probably put something in here about SACs. Got to be something in SACs. Got to be tied into this some kind of way. We got to be.
Yeah, believe it or not, no. But I was thinking, just to play off the point you just made, Keith, that even though, Bill, your focus is international students, I think any graduate student can benefit from this. And I think back to when I was a graduate student, nobody in my family had even been to college, let alone been a TA. I didn't know what was expected of me. And so it would have been helpful to me to acclimate to what that life was. So good job.
Thank you.
When you have close to a 50-50 split here, we really have a serious, we need what you're doing. You know, we needed this research, and it definitely proves that we need to do something everywhere across the board. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I had such a large audience today to spread the word to. But seriously, you know, I think this is about planting seeds, right? And this is one of those seeds I think is gonna germinate and grow. I would like to come back next year at this time and tell you the results of how we're being successful. My job right now is to keep on bugging people. Hey, don't forget about this. Put this in your plans for the fall. Because, you know, if we don't plan it this semester, it doesn't get done early fall, right? I mean, it has to be done. So let's start talking to some of the GAs now. Are they willing to be a mentor? What does being a mentor even mean? You know, there might be an orientation for mentors too. So, and this is a lot to kind of think through, and it's worthwhile. But, you know, we've also got 10,000 other things on our plates too, right? So, but I have a passion for this, and I appreciate the training and the workshops that we did. Gosh, when was that? That was over a year ago.
Over a year ago. In the semester.
But that was really, you know, looking at a community that is underserved maybe and frustrated, and how can we help? I mean, I think that's the kind of attitude that I took for this project.
Well, that was right on cue right there, because I was going to mention, you know, the inclusive excellence training. We're getting ready to run 3 more cohorts starting in the spring semester in March. And also I'm gonna give a plug for our newsletter. To learn more about the inclusive excellence training, look at the equity and inclusion newsletter for February. We have all the dates, and I think I'll probably, Kim, I need to send out a letter maybe this week to the entire campus about the inclusive excellence training. What Bill is what he presented today is one of many, I guess I call them projects for lack of other words right now, but initiatives. One of many initiatives that have taken off as a part of the inclusive excellence training that we did. And we're getting ready to run 3 more cohorts, and we're going to ask people to sign up to actually participate in that. We've gone through our facilitator trainings and all that. So we're geared up, we're ready to go. We're going to start this in March. So share the information with your colleagues. It doesn't necessarily, it's limited to faculty, you know, staff can participate as well. It doesn't all have to be academics. It could be a way that you want to just transition your environment, your work environment. So it doesn't have to be all curriculum related. And so there are a lot of things that we can do to improve or create a more inclusive environment at ETSU. And in order to do that, it's going to take all of us to do that. So Bill, thanks for what you're doing, and the kind of thing that you're doing is exactly what we were expecting, you know, as a result of taking inclusive excellence training, is to take the information that you have and do something with it to make ETSU that, as Dr. Stanton used to say, the university of choice. Okay. So thanks a lot. Are there any final questions for Bill before we close? He He's, we should thank him. He's going to give everybody a half an hour back today. We
Yeah,
haven't
so
had that yet, right?
So you can eat your lunch. Oh, wait a minute. You've already done that.
Well, we can do something we enjoy now. We've already eaten lunch. Well, we enjoy lunch too, but we've already done that. So we got 30 minutes, run around campus, do whatever we need to do, just kind of enjoy. So we thank you so much, not only for your presentation, but for giving us 30 minutes that we didn't anticipate today. We love surprises. So thank you so much. So again, thank all of you all for participating today. And this is an ongoing thing. Even if you have an interest in wanting to share something with us through Lunch and Learn as it relates to equity and inclusion and diversity, please let myself or Chastity in the office or even Kim know, and we can factor that in. I think it's very effective in that we get, the numbers are all over the place in terms of we may have 20, 25, may have 6, 7. But nevertheless, it's information that's good. And I think as we continue to do this, I'm expecting us to grow in numbers in terms of involvement and engagement on this particular campus. So again, thank you all for participating. And now you have 28 minutes that you can go and do what you want to do today. So thank you all. Enjoy. Have a great week.
Thank you all.